my name is Dov Levy, and this is my presentation on the Ukraine-Russia war and how it affects the globe overall. A quick background: this began in late 8 February 2022, and has continued still today on May 2nd of 2023, making it well over a year old now. One of the first things you might have noticed during this war was the gas prices. Here we have a graph in America that shows that before the war, we see right about here, it was averaging about 3.5 per gallon. Sometimes it even dipped down to 3.2, which I bet you guys loved that. And then during the Ukraine-Russia war, all the way up to 4.5. And still in the 4 range during this time. But right here, some of you may ask, but what about the refugees? From this point, as of just March 28th of 2022, almost 4 million people, with 2.3 million about, fleeing to Poland alone. 271,000 to Russia, the people who they are specifically fleeing from. And even some of these very small countries were receiving hundreds of thousands of people. Like, Moldova is this small compared to all these other places. And they received 400,000 people. That's not even stating the people who who fled outside of the outside of Europe, because there's definitely people who did that too. But why don't we then go to food, where we see that it ranges from 10% to 27% of global exports from 2016 to 2020 of grain, in wheat, and a lot of other fairly staple crops. This was massive for the entire globe because this was food security. This was a very large issue for them. What's even worse for Russia in specific is this is a small list of countries that just decided to leave Russia or limit them in their service there. You can see some big ones like Apple, Microsoft, Shell, Visa, most banks, FedEx, Warner Bros., Disney, UPS, Steam, Nintendo. They lost a lot of business. And these are massive multinational corporations. Oh, and it also caused a massive upstart in defense spending. As you can see, some of these places right after that just decided to go right up. Oh, and Ukraine went up 640% for military spending. Germany also went up quite a bit, with 2% of the gross income going into defense. Then we get to the bad part, or not the bad part, the much worse part, which is the fact that Russia has more nuclear weapons than the United States. And if one of those is launched in any NATO territory, that would cause a catastrophe. Because if one nuke launches and lands, all of them do. And, well, if that happens, well, you can guess what would happen there. Overall, this war has a lot more to do with it than just Ukraine and Russia. This is basically all of the world at stake. Because if Russia decides to use nuclear weapons, and a single bit of nuclear radiation or particles gets out of Ukraine, we could be looking at a legitimate global catastrophe. Thank you, and good night.